Years after its official debut, Ducktales went ahead and revitalized itself for a brand new audience, pretty much giving the entire show a new coat of paint. Did this reboot surpass the original? Well, let's see how these two versions stack up against each other.
One free cup for water, please.
That's not one!
Welcome to The Rewind. This is Ducktales, the original series versus the reboot. Before we begin, make sure to give this video a like and hit that subscribe button for good luck. The structure.
Wait, something's wrong. Much better.
So far, both seasons of Ducktales have had a little more than 20 episodes apiece, and by the end of Season 2, the characters are all in a completely different place than they were at the outset. Not outside of Duckburg, though. While it may have seemed like they would just be a bunch of one-offs, it was clear by the end of Season 1 there was a fully mapped-out plan. The writers and creators of the show weren't just looking to write new adventures for Scrooge and the gang to go on. They were fundamentally changing their arcs, creating some from scratch in some cases. The original may have set the blueprint, but the reboot definitely has the better structure. 1 point for the reboot. More adventures.
No, you can't, Winnie darling. How come? It's too dangerous, Lassie.
The downside to creating a more serialized Ducktales is the feeling of total confusion. There's nothing wrong with just sitting down to any given episode of the Ducktales reboot, but if you haven't seen the episodes that precede it, you can very easily be lost. The beauty of the original is that you can know virtually nothing about the show except the characters, and watch any episode without getting lost. The original series had a few multi-episode arcs, but even those arcs weren't so alienating that we couldn't figure out what was going on after a few minutes. It was a story over substance approach, but Disney made it work.
Let's go anyway. But Uncle Scrooge said, he'll change his mind once we're there.
Origin stories.
Didn't get this far in life by following the rules.
Great. And now you're dying.
Ever stop to think why Miss Beakley sticks around with the tightwad billionaire Scrooge McDuck? Ever wonder why Glomgold's sole mission in life is to beat Scrooge at being the richest duck in the world? The original didn't really care to stop and think about these questions. The Ducktales reboot, however, did take the time to stop and ask these questions. In the first season, we discovered that Miss Beakley worked together with Scrooge in an MI6-like organization, keeping Scrooge from getting into too much trouble. Later in Season 2, we learned that Glomgold isn't even technically Scottish, but rather developed a completely new identity, along with a Scottish accent, after Scrooge shortchanged him as a child shining shoes. Stories like this have added depth and heart that was previously missing in the original.
This is bad, real bad. Huey, you got a plan, right?
Sorry, I'm technically you, and since you don't have a plan, neither do I.
Hey, I don't need you. I'm self-sufficient.
Theme song.
Might solve a mystery or rewrite history. Ducktales. Woo.
While the reboot's version of the theme song is totally fine, and has even had some fun variations thanks to Launchpad and Glomgold, it just simply wouldn't exist without the original. We were graced with plenty of animated series from the Disney Channel in the late 80s and early 90s, but Ducktales was absolutely the catchiest. It was wise for the reboot not to rewrite it or to do a new song, because just thinking of Ducktales, it gets it stuck in your head. I mean, for goodness sake, the reboot's pilot was named Woo! Sorry, Tailspin and Goof Troop, but there's just nothing that beats not ponytails or cottontails, no Ducktales! Woo! Better characters.
On it to adventure!
Oh, all right. That was close, Launchpad.
One of the best things that the writers of the new Ducktales have done is not only bring back the characters we love, but give them more dimensions than we've ever seen before. As mentioned before, the main cast gets a great deal of fleshing out throughout both seasons, but even the supporting cast is a lot more interesting than they were in the original. Where McDuck Manor employees like Gyro and Miss Beakley were goofy but lovable in the original, they can hold their own in the reboot. Donald Duck, for all the presence he has had throughout the decades in Disney animation, surprisingly did not have a substantial role in DuckTales. He was present for the pilot and appeared a handful of times after that. That was it. He was just like a jumping point for the original DuckTales to go off of.
Is it so wrong to want to be normal?
I reckon every family has their own normal.
Self-reference.
Your Uncle Donald and I never spoke again. Until you three showed up on my doorstep.
If there's one aspect of the reboot that can be a little tiresome every now and again, it's how self-referential it is. The reboot absolutely channels the nostalgia of the original series. While the original series was building upon the Uncle Scrooge comics, it was mostly creating unique characters and adventures that required little to no understanding of the characters in a prior existence. DuckTales was aimed squarely at kids growing up in the late 80s and early 90s with few, if any, cultural references thrown into the adults. It was a kids series through and through, and that was all it needed. While people who do not know the original DuckTales can certainly enjoy the reboot, there's not nearly as much to appreciate if it's the starting point.
Let go of my uncle!
No!
And it looks like we've reached a deadlock. So, which version do you think did it best? Before you leave, don't forget to give this video a like and leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Check out these other videos right here at The Rewind, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you don't miss any of our future uploads.